Welcome everyone to the Executive Compass. This is where we get insights from B2B founders. We'll dive into their story, how they got started, their challenges and opportunities, and how they're shaping their business for the future. For those of you who are watching this podcast, I'm Amisha Srimankar, founder of Vectra Growth Partners, and today I have a very special guest on. His name is Ben Redmond, who's the Chief Operating Officer from Shift Coaching and Consulting, where they turn ordinary leaders into extraordinary ones. And I'm super excited to dive into our conversation and unpack all the good things. Welcome, Ben. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Amisha. It's great to be on here with you today. I'm excited for the conversation.
Excellent. Would you give us a brief introduction, please?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, name is Ben Redmond, and I am the Chief Operating Officer and the Lead Coach for Shift Coaching and Consulting. This kind of goes for me back about probably 25, 30 years almost. Where as a really young guy trying to make his way in the world like all of us do, I really just started to stumble upon leadership principles, leadership theory, all of that kind of stuff, and was just really captivated by the idea of how much opportunity there is for great leadership to make a real difference in the world. And I feel like this got reinforced by trial and error, both by working with leaders who weren't so great and working with leaders who were really good, being a leader myself who sometimes missed the mark and other times felt like I really hit it. Throughout that journey, led in a number of different spaces, number of different organizations, and got two master's degrees, did my PhD work, all in some form of leadership development. And in 2023, the team at what is now Shift Coaching and Consulting, and started working as the COO there, where I get to do some fun kind of high-level company operational things, but the heart of it all for me still is getting to sit on the other side of the table at a coffee shop or a Zoom call and help people get where they're trying to go. I think for all of us, it's really hard sometimes to see beyond ourselves. And I'm a person who was so greatly impacted by the coaches that I have had through my life that to get to be kind of that partner that comes alongside someone is just a real joy. And so I get to do that. I'm based out of Michigan right now. Our company's headquartered in South Carolina. Why I have not decided to move where they don't have snow is I haven't figured that out yet. But so I live here with my wife. We have 4 adult kids, and living here in Michigan, and just trying to help create better leaders, which I think create better companies, and better people.
Yeah, I love everything you said. And you're so right about, when you have the right coach or consultant, not so much maybe necessarily mentors, but definitely great coaches around you who can lead by example and kind of, who are invested in your journey as much as you are in yours. I've had some great coaches myself in my 20-year career where they have gently pushed me where I needed to be pushed and kind of also given me a kick in the booty when I needed it to, kind of like take action and make decisions. So I have a huge respect for the kind of work that you do. So leadership coaching and consulting, how do you explain your role? And tell me this, how are you different from other leadership coaching and consulting companies? What is it about Shift, whether it's a specific market population, clientele, where do you guys, what's your edge?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I always feel somewhat compelled to say there are a lot of people out there that are doing really, really important work in this space. So I honor that. And I'm excited whenever anyone is doing that well. At the same time, all of us know that markets and niches get saturated. So having a way to kind of figure out how you how you differentiate yourself and what your points of difference are can be really important. I think a couple things that come to mind for us. One is that we made a commitment right at the beginning that we are long-term solutions, not short-term ones. So our average client length is about 18 months. That we work with people. I have clients that have been my clients for over 5 years. As opposed to some people who have the strategy of, we're going to work together for 3 months, then move to the next person, or I'm going to have you go through this one program. We really pride ourselves and find a lot of value in the longer life cycle. I have clients and other coaches in our company have clients who they followed from one company to another in that way. So I think one thing for us is we're very interested in building relationships and the kind of coaching that can only come when deep trust exists. The coach I work with has been my coach in some capacity for the past 8 years. So he knows me. He knows, you made the point about, sometimes being able to challenge. Like, he knows me well enough that when I say that autopilot answer that's just my way to get past it, he can stop and go, I know that's not true. So that would certainly be one thing for me. The other one would be, we have a really strong foundation in empathy and EQ. So for us, we really believe that you have to know yourself to be able to lead yourself, to be able to lead or influence other people. But that all starts with self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and knowing that about yourself. So our coaching process is really, really built on, can I hold a mirror up to myself and understand what it's like to be on the other side of me? Can I also have the right lens to see other people so that I can appreciate them and so that I can interact with them with empathy? And then that's where all of that impact comes from. So I would say a real differentiator for us is that we start every coaching engagement by going, okay, I know you have 2 or 3 goals you want to reach, and that's why you're coming to coaching. But none of that is going to work if you don't have a really strong sense of who you are, both your strengths, your opportunities for growth, and just that higher level of self-awareness. So we always start in those places, whether it's something like the Enneagram, DISC, Myers-Briggs, no matter what it is, just is there some way we can hold a mirror up and you can go, okay, this is what it's like to be on the other side of me. So I would say those are a couple things that, and again, we're not the only one doing that, but those are a couple things that we hang our hats on.
Love it. Okay, I want to know, how aware are your clients, and I'm guessing these are leaders from different companies that you take on. How aware are they when they sign up with you of knowing what their strengths, weaknesses are, especially like some of the tests they may have taken them maybe years ago and they've probably, lost in touch. They're not in touch with themselves as much as anymore. So when they start with you, is there, what is that baseline where they start with? Like, do you on occasion have someone who's very self-aware and like, I know this stuff, let's just move on, or someone who's, what's that starting line in general on that looks, what does that look like?
Yeah, I would say, occasionally we have leaders that are really self-aware, that have done that work, and I always appreciate that, because you have a different starting point. So now we can go, this is the person coming into it going, I know that these are the areas where I need to grow. I see it. Sure. I've received feedback. I'd say for most leaders, though, most leaders are somewhere in the middle of that. Like you said, they were at one point. But the funny thing about most of our leadership journeys, especially in corporate spaces or professional spaces, is that the longer you do something and the better you get at it, the harder self-awareness becomes, because now you're on autopilot and now you just are doing the job that you know how to do. You know the answers. You've experienced, you've been around the sun a few times with this company. And so it becomes easy just to go, okay, I'm just going to operate off the version I was, or what I used to know about myself. So a lot of times it's as simple as just going, can we just stop here? That's what's so great about coaching, is it's an hour where nothing else is going on, and we're just focusing on you and your goals and what you want to do. So can we step back and just go, are the things that you used to think about yourself, or the ways you used to understand yourself, are those current? Are those still, are they still applicable, here at this point? So I would say most leaders find themselves in that spot, or they've changed roles and they've gone from maybe a really great individual contributor to now they're managing people. And then it's taking their self-awareness and connecting it to their reality. So a lot of times the work we do is just helping them connect the dots. So if I know that I'm an achiever, for instance, I'm a person with a high drive and a high motor. I'm task first, not relationship first, or I'm thinking first, not feeling first. If I know that about myself, and I find myself in a new role, it's been so helpful for me to have a coach who can come along and go, okay, when you're frustrated with this person for moving too slowly, let's unpack that a little bit and see if there's something you need to see about yourself. So a lot of times people come to us because they've changed contexts or changed roles or got new responsibilities. And it's less about just remembering what you know about yourself and that emotional intelligence and all of that, and more about how do we now apply this to the real meetings we have and conversations and work we have to do.
Yeah. And I'd love to know, I'm curious, what never ceases to amaze you in your coaching sessions when you are working with these leaders? I mean, what surprises you and what doesn't surprise you anymore?
That's a great question. I think the thing that I'm always amazed by in a really positive way is the reality that most of us have everything we need to get where we are trying to get to. I tell people all the time, coaching is not magic. And those of us who coach, at our company at Shift, we have a franchise of coaches. So we have about 35 coaches who are doing work. I always tell people, coaching isn't magic, and our coaches are not magicians. Coaching works because you, the client, choose to give focused attention to something. And all we're doing is providing a safe space to do it with some gentle accountability. And so the strength is always in an individual who's going, you know what, this is what I want, and I'm willing to focus and put the work in to do that. So I think it's so, I get so amazed sometimes by just seeing people change and grow. I don't think that'll ever be lost on me. When you see the light come on for someone, when someone hears themselves say something, like, yeah. I think maybe I need to just go talk to them, or I think maybe, and you see that light come on, and we get to say as coaches, I think what you just said is really important. And so then you'll get to the end of, a year of working with someone, and they'll look at you and say, you have changed my life. And my response is always, no, you changed your life because you chose to do the work and focus. Yeah. I just came alongside of you to cheer you on as you went. So I think that always amazes me and surprises me. And then on the flip side of that, I think the thing that doesn't surprise me anymore is that we all have issues. Work is hard. Leadership is hard. And it's complicated and it's confusing, and the best of us are not the best of us all the time. Like I wish I was the best version of Ben every day on every call and every interaction, but there's always room to grow. So I think no matter what leader I get on with, no matter how accomplished they are, no matter how, how great their resume is, whenever I start to feel intimidated, I think I'm not surprised anymore by the fact that, we're all similar and that we're trying to do something. We're trying to get somewhere. There are challenges, there are gaps between where we are and where we're trying to go. And all of us kind of need the same support and the same clarity to be able to get there. So I think these days I'm just not surprised by the fact that, yep, we've all got work to do.
Yeah. No, true. Well said. I'd like to know, when you came into the company, were you a coach first before you became a chief operating officer, or was it the other way around? And how did that transition take place? And I know this is a lot of questions. I'm just curious, and this would be a follow-up question. How do you balance both these roles so beautifully? Because I think you do coaching as well as you do
Yes.
the other part of your job as well.
Yes.
So walk me back through that transition. When you came
Okay.
in, what were you first, and how was that transition for you?
Yeah. I started as a coach, and I was coaching on my own, uh, a small, very small amount of clients, just because people, I mean, I guess one of the side, or one of the consequences of getting older is people are like, oh, well, Ben's still around. He's done this long enough. He might know something. Maybe I should ask him. So what started as informal coaching then eventually became a few clients. I got certified by Shift back in, I think, 2016. And was just using their frameworks and kind of the network and support that we have. But I always had another full-time job. So coaching was the side hustle for, putting kids through college and vacation and that kind of thing. And so when I started at Shift full time, I came in as a coach, and I was also the director of our training at that point. So for about a year, I did some content development, some training of other coaches, but mostly was just focused on building up my own coaching. And then after I had been there a year, I got offered the chief operating officer position, and took that. And to answer the other question, I hope that someday I can say that I do it beautifully. It's a challenge, and I think it's a challenge for anyone who wears multiple hats, to figure out the balance of those kind of things. Because on one hand, I have the clients that I'm working with, and then on the other hand, I have systems, processes, procedures, all the things that need to happen to keep the company running well. And then we have these other 35 coaches that are running their own businesses, but that we support. So there's a few different roles in that can be challenging. So for me, time management is really important, but more than even time management, energy management has been the really important thing for me. I am a morning person. So I do my best work in the morning. I love the morning. I haven't messed anything up yet. I still feel successful. And by the time it gets to the afternoon, like 3, 4, 5 o'clock, my battery's starting to wear down a little bit. So I have found that when I'm with people, like on a call like this with you, I have natural energy for that. I love that kind of stuff. And my best thinking time is in the morning. So one of the strategies that I've used to try to balance this out well is to do as much of what I'll call the back office work, the operational stuff, the high level leadership, to do as much of that stuff as I can in the early part of the day. And then you let the afternoon, into early evening time really be for client work. So I kind of have a spot in my day, around noon, that kind of time, where I take a little break and switch in my head from, okay, I'm not solving company problems now. I'm not, writing content. I'm not doing that. Now I'm a coach. So that's probably been the best strategy that I've had, to be able to balance those two. The benefit to it, though, is that every day that I'm working with Tim, our CEO, to lead and build this company, is giving me more credibility and more real world examples that I can then bring to clients. And there's something powerful about sitting with someone who's trying to figure something out and being able to say, you know what, I just had to work through this. And I'm in the trenches with you in that way. So it's been there are definitely times where it feels like both can't win, if that makes sense. Like if I'm the best COO I can be, I feel like at that same time I'm less than the best coach I can be. And then if I'm the best coach I can be, I feel like the COO stuff slips a little bit. So I'm still trying to work to get that exact balance, but really being smart about not just what I do and what I prioritize, but when I do it in the day has been really helpful to me.
Yeah, yeah. Time management is not exactly my strongest suit, so I kind of struggle with that too at
Yeah,
times. But no, I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm sure no 2 days look the same. They're
right.
kind of different in terms of like if things are crazy operationalized, then coaching, like you said, probably can take a back seat. Yeah, and at this point, I'm curious: are you adding more clients to your roster, or is it you have the clients, and you delegate them or you send them to your other partner coaches?
Yep. It ebbs and flows sometimes. As at this moment, while we are recording this, I have space for I think two or three more one-on-one clients. I also do some groups, so some group coaching, but I have space for a couple more. But most of the time, what I'm doing is having conversations with people, figuring out what it is that they need, and deciding who within our organization is going to be the best fit for them, because there's no better advertising for great coaching than great coaching itself. So the right coach with the right person who actually helps them solve their problem, we all win when we get that kind of alignment. So I'm pretty close to where I want to be. And a lot of the conversations I'm having now are for other coaches within our network, who are able to deliver high value and great results to the clients.
Amazing. And do you coach your partner coaches as well? Is that the culture at Shift, or how does that work? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So part of my role is, especially with new coaches. So when coaches go through our certification, we offer multiple certifications a year, and this is a chance, again, in a industry that is saturated. This is a chance to go, okay, here's how we define coaching. Here are some tools and frameworks that are going to be helpful, and here's how you actually build a business, because that's the hardest part. Launch takes the
Yes.
most fuel. So how do we build this business? And then after they've gone through the training phase of that, every coach who joins us gets 3 months of business development coaching that comes from our team. So I lead that, and then as coaches are building, I'm the point of contact there. So I do spend a lot of time, train the trainer, coach the coach, kind of thing is a big part of my week.
Lovely. I want to switch tracks to
Okay.
kind of the company and, where the company's going, say 6 months, 12 months. And you guys are clearly in growth mode this
Mm-hmm.
year. And, you and I talked about it before we were recording. What are the biggest priorities for Shift over the next 6, 12 months?
Yeah, that's another really good question. I think I would say two that come to mind right away. One is continuing to grow our footprint, and that would be both internally and externally. Meaning we really believe in the work we're doing. We believe in the culture that we've created. So it's a fun place to work. It's an incredible collection of men and women who really genuinely love people and are passionate about seeing leaders thrive. And so we want to continue to grow that internally, and that looks like what we call franchise coaches. Those are people that they're a 1099 with us. They're running their own business, and also W-2 coaches who come and work inside of the company. And we have 5 people like that right now that kind of have dual roles where they do one other thing within the company and then carry their own coaching load. So I think there's an internal growth, internal expansion of the footprint. And then externally, I think it's just, none of us, I'm sure the same for you, Amisha, none of us want to be the best kept secret in our industry. So how do we continue to, especially in an industry that's very much a warm lead industry, it's very much who you know and who you've added value to. So how can we, in a healthy way, pace our growth so that we are meeting new companies, that we're able to connect with more people, and that we are able to just continue to add more value in those places. Because like I said earlier, right, leadership is universal and unique. Like the context might be different in some places, but we're all dealing with it. And better leaders make everything better. So how can we find even more places where we can come alongside of leaders and just help them get where they are trying to go? So I think the real priority for us right now is we feel like we've got the right structures and the right processes in place. We're continuing to try to build those. How do we just meet more people? And how do we figure out how we can help more people as we go?
Yeah, you guys, nobody wants to be the industry's best kept secret. So how do you take on marketing? I mean, what do you do to meet newer and more people? Is it referrals, word of mouth, and you have all these partner coaches? Do they do some marketing on behalf of Shift? What does that look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some marketing. Certainly, we've got a presence on all the social media places and those kind of things. Sure. We do a lot with email. We've got a healthy email list that we continue to send out to, and so those things are good. But it really is, like you said, a warm lead industry. So the biggest thing is who can we have conversations with? So the best thing we have is who can we talk to? And we often tell people this is a little bit behind the curtain, but one of our favorite little mantras is don't sell, just coach. Everyone is getting sold things. So what's it look like to show up in a conversation? And again, of course, we want to close deals and we want to get clients. Sure. But what does it look like to show up in a conversation and go, regardless of what happens here, 30 minutes from now, I want this person to walk away and go, I feel heard. I feel like I was seen in that conversation. And that person actually listened well enough to give me something that I can think about that might help me. And even if they never do any work with us, we can still walk away from that strategy session or discovery call and go, you know what, we made the world a little bit better, or at least their world a little bit better. So I really do think that aside from, again, the email and the email campaigns and the LinkedIn and Instagram and social media and whatnot, I think aside from that, the best marketing we have is that word of mouth or a great conversation that you can have someone or have with someone. And I often tell people, like, just think about how you decide in areas that are saturated. So for instance, getting your car fixed, where I live here, there are hundreds of car repair places. And every time I drive by one of them, especially if I'm thinking I need to get something done on my car, the first thought in my mind is, I bet they're going to figure out that I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm going to get scammed. Like, that's the reputation a lot of times that those places have. Yes. So think of how powerful it is when someone you know and trust goes, go there. They do it the right way. They charge right. They were fast with the work. They're honest. I'm going to go there because I trust the person who told me. That's the way I think in a trust economy, which I think we're quickly moving towards a place where the biggest thing we have to invest is trust and relationships. Yes. So in that world, how do we do that well enough so that when someone says, you know what, Amisha is who you should talk to, or Ben is who you should talk to, those people have already made their decision before they get on the call
Yeah.
with me, or before I meet with them. And unless I do something terrible, and then they've already decided, and not because of me, just because they trust the person who recommended me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in this hyper complex world where AI shows up everywhere, our feeds are on our phones, or, when you're calling the doctor's
Right.
office, and rightly so, you need some of that, right, to reduce the manual labor. It's very effective as a brainstorming partner if done the right way, and if it has the knowledge base of your company and your value systems, all of that. But I think you still need a human in the loop. And I think coaching is truly an example of that. You need a human in the loop, you need to make that connection because I mean, I don't want to be coached by an AI bot. That's
Right.
a fear that I have. I still want a human on my side, want a human on my team telling me what to do, and feeling that the humans heard me, I'm heard, I'm listened to, I'm walking away from that interaction with something valuable, something tangible. And
Yeah.
I don't think we're there yet, and let's hope we never get there with AI.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I agree. I agree with that, and I also think, and this is just kind of an interesting way to think about, all the things you were just saying when it comes to, the AI bots or an AI coaching you, is I often think the biggest value I get out of coaching is when someone challenges what I think. Like, we all have people who tell us what we want to hear all the time. What about a person who is safe enough, and then you've developed enough trust with, that they can tell you something you don't want to hear, but you probably need to hear? And it's interesting because, and again, we use AI a lot in various work that we do. We we've worked with I've worked with an AI coach who's helped me understand, some of those things, because it's such a big deal for so many of our clients.
Sure.
So we're trying to understand it. But one thing that is true now that may not be true 10 years from now, but it's very hard to get AI to not be on your side. So most of the time when you show up, especially if you remember the early days when it was first starting, it was almost like I could stand on my roof and say, hey, I could say to AI, I'm thinking about jumping off my roof. And they would say, oh, I love your ambition. Right. So,
I know, it's scary.
so part of the reason that I hope we always have humans involved with humans, at least in the coaching, mentoring, like that kind of space you were talking about at the beginning, is because we need people who, in a safe and positive way, can tell us something that maybe we don't want to hear, but we need to hear it. We don't need someone who's just always on our side, especially if we're going the wrong way.
I agree 100%. And you're so right, because even today, when you're putting something in Claude or, ChatGPT, it aims to please and,
Yes.
Validates your answers, or it says you're on the right track and you're awesome. So yeah, I hear you. You do need someone who kicks your backside now and then and says that's a terrible idea. Well, not said that way, maybe in a more coachy way, but you know what I mean. Awesome. Looking ahead, what kind of impact do you want Shift to have on leaders and organizations that you serve?
Yeah, I think the answer that almost everyone wants, even if they don't say it, is to be more profitable, right? Bottom line profit. That's the reason. If you untangle everything, most often someone is going, okay, if we can perform better, then we can make more money, we can be more successful, and all of those things. And
there's an ROI.
Yes, exactly. And I do think there's a component of it to that, but that's not the most interesting part of it to me. And I don't even think I think it's just the lowest hanging fruit for a lot of people. I think in reality, what I want to see, and I think what the collective coaches at Shift wants to see, is we want to see, and I'll give you two words here: clarity and intentionality. And in clarity, I just mean that nobody can sell me on a bad idea like me, and nobody can lie to me like I can. So if you think about any time that we're just trying to navigate it all through ourselves, right? Every bad decision, business or otherwise, I've ever made, I was the mastermind of it. I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And so having that outside voice to bring some clarity, so where you can be really clear on this is who I am, this is why I think I'm here, and this is where I'm trying to go. And I know myself well enough to understand the things I need to watch out for here. So I think that clarity on and ability to grab onto reality and go, okay, this is what's true, and this is what I'm trying to do here is one of the things that I really want to see. And then on the intentional side, if I took all of the years that I put into higher education to study leadership, if I took all of that and just kind of said I need to put it down to one sentence, I would say the best leaders are the most intentional and thoughtful ones. I think that's what all the research really at the end tells us. They're not the smartest ones. They're the ones who resist autopilot. They don't get caught just making assumptions. They stay curious. They stay grounded. And before they do something, they stop for just a second and go, is this the move that the best version of me as a leader would make right now? That's why the best leaders are so good at conflict resolution, at communication, at change management, at any of these things that we would say, well, this is what separates a average leader from a great one. I think the great ones are better at that because they slow down and pay a little bit more attention, and they're just intentional. And I think anytime we're intentional with the steps and the moves we're making, as opposed to I work 70 hours a week, I'm just trying to get through another Wednesday, so I'm just going to fire off an email response. I'm just going to quickly dismiss what this person is saying. If we can move away from that, we're better. And the coolest part is that when you get really intentional and when you get really clear, when you have clarity and that thoughtful intentionality, you're going to be profitable. It's going to drive all of the things you want on the other side of it. And you can do it in a way that lets you lay your head on your pillow at the end of the night and go, I am making the lives of other people better as well. I'm adding value in all these places, and our company is growing and our company is winning because we're leading with intentionality and clarity.
I'm going to remember that for every sales call I get with that thought process. Like, no, that's beautifully said. And I don't think I've quite heard it being said or explained to me that way. So thank you for sharing that. And I think that couldn't have come from anyone else but except a coach who understands leadership, understands values, intentionality, and clarity. Like you said, we often forget that, and we're like straight to like, show me the money. But no, we've got to take a few steps back and actually slow down and ask ourselves and go through this process that you just clearly outlined. I love that. Thank you. Ben, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you've done, everything that you guys are doing at Shift to coach leaders and, make a real impact. Where can people find you online? Where do you hang out? Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, for me personally, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the place I'm doing most of my posting and sharing my thoughts right now. So just Ben Redmond on LinkedIn. Shift also is there. And then you can find us at our website, shiftcompany.net is where you can find us on our website. And again, we also have a LinkedIn page as well there. But you can contact me through either of those. And happy to have a conversation with anyone who's curious.
Amazing. We will add all those links below this video and and hopefully people find and connect with you online. Great. Thank you once again and good luck with everything.
All right. Thank you, Amisha. Appreciate it.